Hey nerds, welcome to episode 58. Coming up this week on the podcast, we have a video game heavy show. Morgan is stoked for the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. I'm genuinely looking forward to the upcoming Twisted Metal TV series, and Bill and his badass mustache are loving the latest news on Westworld Season 4. Ready? Hit it! Hey nerds, welcome to another episode of the Nerd Rundown podcast, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. I am your host, Eric Hare. Riding alongside me today is Morgan Santo, aka Big Morg 3000.
Hello, internet world.
And then we have rocking the goose stash is our buddy Bill Poor. Bill, how are you?
What's up, everybody?
And you can, as usual, you can find us on all of our social media stuff, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, at the Nerd Rundown. And while you're there, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and leave a comment. Really leave a comment. Like, honestly, that really, really helps us. And we are really good about, interacting with people as they leave comments and stuff. So if you want to interact with your favorite hosts and stuff, if you want to call us out for this or that, or have a good old fashioned internet fight, bring it on. So comment on all that stuff, and we're happy to discuss. Yeah. So and then of course you can find us on all the major podcast services. So today's rundown's pretty light. We've gotten a ton of trailers over the last couple of weeks, and so this week's a little bit on the light side, but we did get some news from some big time stuff kind of coming down the pipe. Mad Max Furiosa began filming, and so we're going to kind of talk about that. Morg, did you see the original Mad Max that came out with Charlize Theron and stuff? Did you watch that one? Tom Hardy?
I did. I actually really enjoyed it. It's a very simple. I've been finding out lately that I enjoy simple movies, in the sense that, like, I don't really need much of a plot if the movie's cool. So I did enjoy it. The visuals, everything about it was good. So I have hope that this will be good as well, and I want to learn more about Furiosa. But at the same time, I'm not like, again, this is one of those things that I wasn't like, yeah, I need a movie about her,
sure,
or or even another Mad Max. Like, right. It's so I might not catch it in theaters, but I'll wait, because the trailer could blow me away. We could get some more stuff that I'm like, all right, now I need to see this in IMAX.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I'm a wait and see.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, so my wife and I saw the original when it came out in theaters, and we absolutely loved it for the same reasons Morg said. It's one of those movies you can kind of just turn your brain off and just take in the visuals and the sounds, and we really enjoyed it. I figured there would be another Mad Max or a sequel to it. I'm surprised it took as long as it did.
Sure.
I vaguely remember hearing, rumblings of a Mad Max Furiosa years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. It's been a long time. But yeah,
I think it's one of those films that's kind of been trapped in pre-production hell, like they, just trying to get everybody's schedules and stuff like that to do what they wanted to do and stuff. And from what I'm seeing right now, the cast is pretty anemic, at least what they're showing on IMDb. But it looks like Anya Taylor-Joy is going to be our Furiosa, young Furiosa. So, and that girl is like the it girl in Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
She is really, really phenomenal in everything that she's done. I'm not much. She's so good. My wife enjoyed a show about chess like that's how good. You know, like my wife who doesn't, you know, she doesn't play chess. She has no interest in chess. She's never had any interest in chess in her entire life. She was addicted to that show, you know, and was you know, talking about chess all the time. And I was like, all right. I mean, if they're really good storytellers and her performance is that good, you know, that they must be onto something. So
right.
You know, but it looks like Hemsworth's in it. So I'm not sure. You know, they haven't really said anything about, you know, who he's going to be playing or whatever. But George Miller is back to direct it. Yep, which I think is really great. I'm curious as to, you know, how this is going to end up looking. Because that's really the thing with all the Mad Max type movies. You know, you have that Apocalypse, the Road Warrior, Mad Max, and then Beyond Thunderdome and all that. They have such a cool apocalyptic look on, you know, things, and of course, you know, when you're dealing with like the Australian outback and stuff, it's a little bit different than, you know, middle of the country USA. You know, but I don't know. It just the visuals from that first one were ridiculously cool, and really the whole series, they've always been ridiculously cool. So I think,
and I'll say, since I know he's listening to the show, stick with as much practical effects as you can. I think that's one of the things that made Mad Max pretty cool. I mean, it had its definite CGI with the storms and stuff, but there's a good amount of actual stuff in there, and I think that makes a big difference.
I think, you know, and that's been a discussion. That might be a good discussion that we should have at some point or another, is to talk about the usage of CGI, or the over usage of CGI as a crutch for having a bad storyline. You know, and I think, you know, not to bring, we'll kind of. I'm gonna switch things up on you guys a little bit from our thing, because I think it'll be a good segue for us. But the Star Wars series, you know, at least the movies themselves, they had such huge budgets and everybody was so focused on the spectacle of making new Star Wars movies that I think they really forgot to flesh out you know, a solid plot that moves across 3 films. You know, it was like, okay, we're making this Star Wars movie, and then we're going to make another Star Wars movie, and then we're going to make another Star Wars movie, you know, and it's like, okay, have you thought about like how that's going to move from this one to that one to that one? Right. Well, no, not really. We got $400 million we need to burn, you know, and so I think, you know, so kind of segueing into, we did get a trailer for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is a sequel to with Fallen Order, right? Star Wars Fallen Order, the video game Fallen Order, which is I have not played a lot of Star Wars games. Jack and I have played that a couple of times, and he loves it. He loves that game, and I've really enjoyed, you know, how that looks. Bill, did you play Fallen Order at all?
Yeah, I did, and I'm glad you actually segued the way that you did, because Fallen Order has such an incredibly in-depth story, and it hooks you. So Brett was actually the one who turned me on to Jedi Fallen Order, and it is one of the very few games that I have 100% completed.
Same.
Because it is just addicting. The world is so fleshed out. Yeah, there's so much to explore. It really grabs you and pulls you in. So I am super excited about this. And I hope we get, Brett and I were talking about this, I hope we get more of Cal Kestis, and that they can bring him in a meaningful way elsewhere. Not just as a cheapo, hey, look who we have, come watch the show because he's in it. But I really enjoy his character, and I'm glad we get to see more of him.
Yeah. Morg?
Yeah, I mean, I am super pumped for this Cal Kestis, the main character of the game, played by I'm drawing a blank on his name from
drawing a blank on him too.
Yeah, I can't find his name, and then let me know. But he's done a few things. Most famously, Shameless. He plays Ian in that. But Cal Kestis looks exactly like him. It's modeled off of him, so they could easily
Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah, they could easily bring him into real world here and have the same actor. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The trailer didn't reveal a whole lot. You know, it was a cinematic
It's a lot
trailer.
I was gonna say it's a lot of cutscene. It
Yep.
looks like a lot of
Yep.
cutscenes from the movie, but you don't get a ton of gameplay, and they didn't
Exactly.
really show us that in the first trailer either, right? Because we got a teaser, and then this is the full trailer that we get, right? Is that how that works? Yeah.
From what I understand, this is like the full cinematic trailer. We'll get gameplay at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like it could be introducing some characters. We do see some Sith in there that we don't know who it is. They seem to be missing an arm. Everything we see them, it looks like they only have a left arm. So I don't know Star Wars canon that well, that I don't know if that resembles anybody or whoever it is.
Yeah.
And then we also see somebody in a back to tank that we, as far as I know, we don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And what their importance is, but I'm thinking they might be dark side. They've got some markings on them that line up with the dark side. Sith usually.
Do we know? And this is just my ignorance on here. Where does this fit in the timeline? In reference to like the Skywalkers and stuff. So
yeah. So
because
I'm not sure
we've
the
got
exact.
We've got Darth Vader, so we know it's after 3, right? And
It is. It's before Luke.
Okay.
Right. It's definitely a couple years after Order 66, because that's the whole, in the beginning of the game, it reveals that you landed in a spaceship, or did.
I would say realistically, and somebody let me know. I'm leave a comment, but I think this is actually taking place around the same time as the Obi-Wan show.
Okay,
that's out because in the first game we see Order 66 happen, and Cal Kestis is a kid when Order 66 happens in the game. He's like in his 20s, is what I would imagine.
I was going to say, so my, I remember playing the game, like I said, with Jackson early, and early into it. He doesn't even really know that he has force powers at all, and it isn't until one of his friends is in kind of a dire strait, where he's going to die, that he dips into this and is able to use the force to save his buddy, in an accidental way, and so it's like an accidental Jedi, if you will.
Yeah, and it's so what? Yeah, what it was is it's kind of like a. Well, I don't want to ruin Obi-Wan for anyone, but it's kind of that same sense of he's a Jedi, but it's just been so long that he's done it because he's trying to hide that, of course, something happens because all Jedi have that itch. They can't help but help. Right. And he needed to help. And that, boom, immediately brought attention to him. But it seems like in this, it's supposed to be darker.
Yeah.
It's called Survivor. Mm-hmm. And it seems like Cal's must be growing because it appears he has the eye of, the Empire is now on him, not just... and I know Darth Vader was involved with the first game at some points. I won't say much, but so it seems like he must be growing. So I'm hoping he's going to become more of an actual staple in the Star Wars universe. We'll see him in live action as well if they bring him into true canon.
Yeah.
Now let's see. I'm pumped.
It does say that the sequel to Fallen Order will take place concurrently with the Obi-Wan TV series, and that's 5 years after the first game takes place.
Okay, perfect.
And we don't get any really, like, at least from IMDb, we're not seeing any voices or anything like that. So
no, they haven't shown much. It's very vague, vague.
Yeah, and everything that I've seen is really just speculation.
It's all speculation.
All speculation.
Well, I got to tell you, it looks great. I mean, it looks super cool. At least the cinematic scenes look really, really polished, look really, really good. So hopefully the gameplay goes along with the cinematic, level of effort that they're putting into it. Yeah, I'm sure. So.
And cool. that was an aspect of the game I really liked. I didn't mean to cut you off, Eric.
No. Yeah, keep going.
Morg, you might agree with me, but I liked how challenging that game was. I mean, there were points in that game where I was like, my blood pressure was through the roof trying to beat like I think it was the second sister. and
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
It's a good game for the listeners out there that are debating on trying some of those like Demon Souls games or Elden Ring. This is it. This is that, but light. A very light version. A good introduction into that kind of hardness. You actually got to really fight. If you die, you go back.
Yep.
So it's a good introduction into that for anybody listening. Start here. It's coming. Jedi Fallen Order, I think is on. I think it's on all platforms now.
Yeah.
So check it out.
I have a. It's kind of silly, but I've got to go. I'm fully invested in the Google, stuff, and so I bought a Chromecast, and it came with a controller for their Google Stadia, which is their online gaming thing, and so like I pay like $10 a month, and I get like the whole catalog of all these like free games and stuff, and so one of the games is Fallen Order, and that's what we've been playing it on, and it plays really well. I've been pretty impressed with the gameplay. I've got it hardwired. I've got that Chromecast hardwired into the network, so it's not over over Wi-Fi.
Helps.
Right. But it plays really, really. The Stadia is actually really interesting to me. It really plays really, really well, and I don't think it's going to take off. I don't think that kind of online gaming is going to take off, but which is a shame, at least for now, because it's you don't have to keep upgrading hardware all the time because the back end servers are always up to date. So. But yeah. All right. So we'll kind of move on to the next item in the rundown. We've got Morgan's favorite Resident Evil 4 remake trailer. So let's talk about that, Morg.
Yeah. So anybody that I like this rundown, we're getting some video game stuff on here. This is exciting, But so basically they're just, from what I've understand and what I've seen, they're taking Resident Evil 4, which came out on the GameCube, was a game changer for Resident Evil. This is when they finally were like, okay, let's do a behind the shoulder camera instead of that. Anybody that's ever played Resident Evil, it's like a camera, like a security camera up in a corner. You walk and then it changes. You can't, it's such a pain in the butt. But so this changed that. The fighting was different. It was more action compared to Resident Evil, and it was huge. Completely changed the game. So, like everything in the world now, let's remake it. Yeah. So, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with this.
So, are they remaking it, or are they just touching up what's there and adding new gameplay, or how's it?
So, from what I understand, they're remaking it kind of from the floor up. So it's still going to be the same game, same overall story, all that. But it's recently Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 got the remake treatment. And what they did is they did them from the ground up, completely redid it for today. So they changed like the camera system, because that's when they still did the old camera. They changed that, so it followed. They updated all the graphics, and they added some content in that wasn't there originally and changed some things up to make it a little fresh, which was very good. It was probably one of the best games I've played in a long time, was the Resident Evil 2 remake. They did a fantastic job with it. So as long as they do that with this, same thing, redo it, do the whole same story, which is what we want, add a little bit to it to freshen up some things, maybe change it up, make it pretty. It'll probably be one of the best-selling Resident Evil games because of that, because it was so popular, and if they're just making it better, we're going to love it. But I'm excited. We get to play as Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 2. He's in this, and it's a good story where he's trying to save the president's daughter. Who doesn't like a story like that? Everybody loves those movies. Yeah. So if you haven't played Resident Evil games, you could probably jump right in with this one. Yeah. And you'll get an idea of what's going on. You might be a little lost with a few things, but it's not really connected. The zombies aren't really zombies. It's a plague it's like a creature in them, essentially. So it's kind of its own little thing. So you could get away with just playing it, but I'm super pumped for this. I have a lot of high hopes for it.
Bill, did you play it?
So I'll tell you, I think I played the original Resident Evil game when I was really young, and I got to one of the first scenes, which is the dogs in the hallway, and I think I changed my pants and never Resident
Evil game again. They come through the window. It's everybody.
You're like,
but no, I haven't, and I'm actually, Morgan, I'm glad that you said that. That's sort of a good jumping off point, because I think one of the reasons I never got into Resident Evil was I feel like there is so much lore with it, because everything that I've read online, that it's one of those things where it's kind of daunting that you don't know where to begin. How much am I going to miss if I jump in at this point? Am I going to be completely confused and lost? So, maybe that is a good place to sort of pick it up and start from.
It is. And, I know there's going to be possibly a Resident Evil special episode of the podcast sometime in the near future. So maybe wait for that too. You can listen to that, because
catch up on background.
Bring me up to speed, right?
Yeah. Bring you up to speed. So
is Resident Evil a platform, and maybe we go back with the Star Wars Jedi one as well. So are these platform exclusives, or are they agnostic?
As far as I know, they're on all systems.
Okay.
At this point. The newest ones, like Resident Evil, it's like 6 or 7 or 7 and 8. I can't remember. They might be exclusive to PlayStation, but I think they're on all platforms now. Okay. So you should be able to pick it up anywhere, hammer through it. And the games, if you play Resident Evil now, you're gonna laugh and be like, "Well, why was I afraid of this? Why did this scare me? It's so cheesy. Like, it's so bad. The voice acting's horrible. Like, why was I scared?"
Dude, I still go back to like the first PC Doom game. That scared the living hell out of me. And I was in my 20s, I think, when that thing came out. I wasn't like a kid or anything, and it was like, but you were in pitch black, and then you move the flashlight, and all of a sudden there's like a guy there, and you're like, oh man, I played that game with all the lights on. I can tell you that much. It just scared the living hell out of me.
Played a couple like that.
So I think that's great. It keeps you on your toes, keeps you engaged, and all that stuff. So, well, good to hear. Okay, so all right. So, kind of next up on the rundown, I gotta pull up my sheet here. I lost it, but so another video game.
Video game.
Another video game. So we're gonna be talking about the PlayStation. This is a PlayStation exclusive Twisted Metal series that was on the original, I think, PS1. They are doing a TV series on Peacock on the Twisted Metal stuff. So I have no idea how they're going to do this. Like, I really have no idea how they're going to do this. But we got one of my favorite guys, Will Arnett, is now cast as Sweet Tooth, which I think is the only character that anybody really knows that from outside the game. The Sweet Tooth character, which is the clown that everybody's terrified of. So we got a voice casting of Will Arnett, who that dude is like one of my favorite people on the face of the planet. Like, he is so funny. He does the voice of Batman in the Lego movies.
Yep.
He did. He has a series on Netflix right now called Murderville, and if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it is delightful. It is absolutely delightful. It is built on. They bring on a guest star, and they basically make them. They don't give them any lines, and they have to basically, what's the, not ad lib, but I guess maybe that's part of it.
I guess it would be ad lib, right?
Yeah,
just making it up.
Yeah, and it's just fantastic. And of course he's been in a lot of other stuff. What was the show he did? Gosh, what was the TV show that he did for a long time with Jason Bateman and those guys? Arrested Development. He was on that and stuff. So, and there's 30 Rock. He's just got a great career and stuff. So he's going to be the voice of Sweet Tooth. And then we got Samoa Joe is actually to be playing the body of that Sweet Tooth character. So I don't know how this is gonna. I don't know how this is going to work out. Like, I really don't. I mean, do you guys have any? I mean, the cast is pretty awesome at this point. Yeah, I mean, we've got Nev Campbell, who she's her credit is out there. Thomas Hayden Church is one of my favorite guys. Like he was from Tombstone. He played one of the Clanton boys. Stephanie Beatriz, who, if you've watched Encanto, is the main girl in that. Yeah, and then and she's also on what's the show? Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah, she's so great in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So she's on that, and then we got Anthony Mackie is in it. I thought at some point wasn't what's his name was attached to it as well. I thought who's the little guy, the little comedian guy? What's his name? But maybe not. I don't see him in the list, so maybe he did. Maybe
like
what's the little comedian dude that's always with the Rock?
Kevin Hart.
Yes, Kevin Hart.
Okay, yeah.
I thought. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of a different series. I'm thinking he's supposed to be in Borderlands. I'm thinking Borderlands on that. But yeah, so I mean, the cast sounds pretty awesome, like from a voice perspective and everything. So I don't know anything about this. Like, I really don't. Like, did you guys play Twisted Metal?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I can really remember going over to my grandparents and playing Twisted Metal with my cousins on PlayStation. And it's funny because the only two characters that I remember playing that game were Sweet Tooth, and I didn't realize that he was called the Body, but I remember playing as the big, giant, strong guy who was basically holding together two tires.
Right. Yeah.
I was always either Sweet Tooth or that dude, and I didn't realize that he was called the Body.
The Body, yeah.
Yeah. Axel.
Right.
But,
what were they thinking?
I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. I feel like it's going to be hard to do, though, because it was a very bloody, violent game. So I don't know. We'll see what they do.
So the synopsis on it from IMDb is the series will follow a motor-mouthed outsider offered a chance at a better life, but only if he can successfully deliver a mysterious package across a post-apocalyptic wasteland. So, okay, and
I'll say again, this is one of those things. Like, I don't know if anybody asked for.
Yeah.
And I feel like it has that issue of the same thing with Mortal Kombat. I don't remember getting on and going, all right, where was I at in the story of Twisted Metal?
Right.
No, you're like, all right, what am I blowing up? Let's get together. Let's blow each other up.
It's just a beat 'em up.
Mortal Kombat wasn't like, all right, where am I in the story of Mortal Kombat? It's like, no, I want to see if I can hit you into the spikes and get a cool finishing move.
Right.
Like, that's the problems. They're going to try to turn this into a story which maybe later Twisted Metal games had a story. I don't remember.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know. And when you have Will Arnett,
he's an executive producer. He's not only is he a voice, but he's also executive producing the series.
So the tough thing with that is, I love Will Arnett, but if I'm watching him, I know it's going to be something that's super funny.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, Twisted Metal isn't the most serious thing, but it shows me that they're probably going to go for a much lighter tone.
Right. Yeah.
Is what I would imagine, which is okay. But I need to see killing.
Yeah.
I need to see blood and guts and gore.
Yeah, I think that was the big draw with Twisted Metal when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Was it
that taboo,
like the
just like Mortal
game
Kombat
out there?
Yeah. I don't know where they're going with it, and frankly, I'm actually excited. Like I'm like I am looking forward to this, and I don't know why. I just am looking at this cast, and I'm looking at who's producing it, and I'm thinking to myself, this is probably going to be fun. Like this is going to be checkout television, where I can just watch this, and it's going to be gonna be fun. That's at least that's the take that I have on it at this point. We'll see once we get a trailer and once things really start kind of shaping up and everything. We'll kind of come back to it and talk about it.
We'll see that.
But yeah, so I don't know. And then I guess the last item on the rundown that we'll kind of talk about is, and I am jacked for this, Westworld season 4. We got a trailer a couple weeks ago, or I guess a teaser, really more than a trailer. But we got Westworld season 4 is coming up here in June, I believe, and we got the return of James Marsden. Coming back onto the show. So Bill, you're one of my fellow Westworld fans. How does this strike you? Because Teddy, or at least are we getting him as Teddy? How's this gonna play out?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it is, and Westworld's sort of kind of one of those shows where it's like, did they really die? People, just because it looks like they died doesn't mean they actually died. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I mean, I really liked the character of Teddy. I enjoyed it, and I'm a huge Westworld fan as it is. I know some people weren't happy with season 3, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like that it's a series that really makes you think about what you're watching. Like, my wife and I have been like, we have to go back and watch that again, because it's just like, you have no idea what's even going on sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how he comes back. I like that actor. I like the character, so I think it's cool. It's good news.
Yeah, Morg.
Yeah, I'm with Bill. I like Teddy's character. I liked the morality issues he went through, where he was with Dolores and then he developed a conscience, which was neat. I like that stuff. And I know season 3 was a little different. And I can see why some people were upset with it, but I also like that. Like, I wanted it to spill into our world, because that's what's interesting. Because now you're like, when you're in Westworld, okay, you got robot, you get it.
It's contained.
But now you're like,
it's
wait a
safe,
minute, I have no idea what's what. So I'm looking forward to what they do with his character. Like you said, is he going to be Teddy? Is he going to be something completely different? Who knows? Is Ed Harris actually Teddy? Is Teddy Dolores? Is Dolores?
I don't know who's actually who.
Right.
That's the hardest thing. My wife checked out season 1. She was like, nope, done.
She's like, wait, that guy is this guy in his implant, but he's actually this guy? What?
Yeah. Sometimes sometimes they get a little too clever for their own good sometimes, and I think that can really, it could really make it difficult for people to follow, and not to bring up Marvel, but the whole multiverse, stuff. I have a lot of concerns about that, and not that I haven't discussed them, in the past. And Westworld can get a little too clever for itself sometimes with that, moving things from one to the other, and it's like, okay, but you know what? We get more of the other Hemsworth. Luke, we don't that guy needs to be on TV more. Evan Rachel Wood has been tremendous in the series. Jeffrey Wright, I like Evan Rachel Wood, but I've stuck around for Jeffrey Wright. I'll watch anything that he does, and his Bernard character. Wow. I mean, wow. Like, that first season, I was like, what? That's crazy.
Ed Harris.
Yeah, and then Ed Harris is just a
phenomenal.
He's a phenomenal villain. Like, he is just delightful as the villain in that, in that series. And that whole first season was, I did not have that pegged. I did not have that figured out.
To this day was still one of my favorite twists. I mean, it was just such a good payoff, and it was so well.
Yeah, the McPoyles. Yeah. Well, because I remember everybody was like, they're like, Jimmy Simpson, like, come on, like everything that he's been in, he's been a goofball, you know.
He's
like
he's a McBoyle from its own, like,
right.
That's all I see him as.
Yeah, and so that I thought that was great. You know, Rodrigo Santoro as Hector was really good.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, just the whole cast was really well cast. And Anthony Hopkins, I think I'm a big fan of. There's a YouTuber called the Nerd Writer 1, I think is his channel that he has on YouTube. And if you get an opportunity, just watch his stuff. He usually does like, I don't know, like 8 to 10 minute episodes of stuff where he really digs into a subject and kind of breaks down contextualization and all that stuff. And he has a brilliant piece that he did on Anthony Hopkins' performance in and how he delivers his lines in and specifically in Westworld. The one scene where he's sitting there having lunch with that one woman, and you know, and it's like, oh man, it's really, really great. And I now that I think about it, I may have to go back and rewatch season 1. I may have to go back and
Dolores? I don't know.
Right, is he Dolores? Yeah, right.
Who's Dolores? Everybody's Dolores.
No, and I think, but you know, that's kind of what's cool about Westworld is you really do have to go back and rewatch because you have to keep everything in order, otherwise you end up feeling lost. And I mean, I'll admit I watched it or season 3 when it first came out, and I don't remember much about it. Yeah, like I remember the basic plot line, but I'm sure there's going to be things that I need to know going into season 4.
Yeah. I love Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan's writing. They've done just a tremendous job up to this point. I like you said, I think a lot of people were a little bit. Season 3 didn't hit the way season 1 and season 2 did, and you know what? That's just it's hard. It's hard to hit home runs every time, you know, and it wasn't because of anything that you could really kind of put your finger on. It just didn't work quite as well. I think because they weren't necessarily in Westworld, you know, like they weren't really in that world. They were in kind of the real world, and so things, you know, kind of played out a little bit different. But yeah, so I don't know. I if Marsden is back, which, you know, it seems like it might be, I'm curious as to how that will work. You know, is he like a real guy? You know, like, is he like a real guy in like the real world? And
right, yeah,
you know, and maybe that causes Evan Rachel Wood to have a problem because she's, you know, at this point she has no problems mowing down human beings. Like that's, you know, her belief is that, you know, she's got to take care. She's almost like the Terminator, you know, where she's got to kind of take care of us before we take care of them. But so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be. It's June. Airs June 26th. Yeah,
it's that soon.
Jeez.
Yeah, June 26th. Wow, we get our first.
There's so much coming out there. There's too much.
It really is. It really is. I've really got to get cranking on Stranger Things and
Ms. Marvel's next week.
Jedi. Yeah,
like there's just too much crap.
Can't catch a break.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they just have jumped, and we were talking about it. My wife and I were actually talking about it. We went and saw the Downton Abbey movie, and there was like trailer after trailer after trailer, and she goes, "Why is there so much good?" I said, they kept filming all through 2020, you know, and even though the theaters weren't open, you know, they were still filming stuff. So they've got so much in the can that we are just gonna get hammered, you know, for the next couple of years with really, really good stuff. And then I don't know what's gonna happen because it's gonna be like there's gonna be because they can't drop off. Yeah, there's gonna be a bit of a drop off, you know, once they start pushing through everything. So
everybody's gonna have to do that, like walk outside again and see the sign and right. But I'm alive.
But I gotta say that the more I watch some of this stuff, the more I think the early demise of the movie theater is I think people saying that the movie theater was dead is they're wrong. I think they're wrong because there's a lot of stuff coming out that people want to see in the theater. They want to see it on that big screen, you know, and I think people like going to see movies with other people, you know, not just the people that they're with, but other fans who share their passion or whatever for for everything. I was talking to somebody who went and saw the Top Gun movie, and people were clapping like when the movie started. They were like excited, and all that. And I'm like, you can't get that sitting in front of your 65-inch screen. You're just not going to get that immersive, feeling and stuff. So.
No, and that was one of my favorite things about watching Spider-Man: No Way Home, because I went to one of the opening shows, and it was everybody in the crowd is hooping and hollering and clapping their hands, and then I went and saw it a couple weeks later, towards the end of its theatrical run. And there was like nobody in the theater, and it was a totally different experience than being there with that excitement. And you're just like, yeah, you know what I mean? Everybody's like getting into it. It changes the way you watch a movie. It really does.
It does. And I agree. Just to, build off that just real quick. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here.
No. It's gonna segue into our Nerd Box question from Meg. So
seeing a movie in the theater is just like, don't get me wrong, my TV is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like my sound today is like you get a great experience in the home, but being there in the theater, like I told you guys when I saw Top Gun Maverick, and I saw it in IMAX, and it was like this is a movie, and having that sound, even when you have surround sound at home, it when you're sitting in an IMAX and you hear that, like I felt like I'm sitting there like I was looking for bogeys, like because I'm the sound, like where are they, and you just don't quite get that at home. You can get close, but there's just something being in that theater, and having that experience. It's coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah, I think so too. So Meg's question from the Nerd Box is movie theater related. She wants to know what age were your kids when you first started taking them to the theaters, and then she has a couple of follow-ons. Which is, what movie did you take them to first, and then what was the experience like for you and for them, more than anything. So Bill, what age were your kids when you first took them to see something?
Well, I'm actually glad that you started with me, because I have a 3-year-old who will be 4 in October. He has not been to the movies yet.
Okay.
So I want to hear what you guys have to say, because one of the things that I'm actually debating, even though he's 3, he loves Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. He watches all of them. We watched Jurassic World today. And, my wife and I were actually debating, do we see him to take Jurassic World Dominion when it comes out this summer? He's almost 4 years old. One of the things I grapple with is I'm a little worried he's too young to really sit there through the entire thing, because he loves, the dinosaur fights and things like that, but he couldn't care less about two characters interacting, in another
right
scene.
Yeah.
It's kind of like finding that. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say.
Yeah. Morg.
Yeah. So I wouldn't ask me, Bill. I take my son to things and traumatize him. So
took his kid to see the Batman. So
I took him to see the Batman. I can't wait to go see the new Freddy Krueger with him. No.
Right.
So and it's funny because I have a horrible memory. I saw the question. I had to text my wife. I'm like, hey, when we first take him to a movie?
Yeah.
So we went and watched Zootopia.
Okay.
That was the first movie we took him to, and he was 3. So we picked a kid movie, obviously, because I knew, well, if he gets fussy, I'm all right. If we have to leave, I'm not like, oh God, I got to see this, and I'll be all right. But at the same time, I also know it's going to be a bunch of kids there too. So if anybody gets mad,
right,
screw off. We're at a kid movie, deal with it. He did pretty well. So I think you just kind of got to judge it. I mean, your kid obviously better than any of us will. How is he at home watching a movie or things like that? Because my son, he did all right, but he was fussy. I mean, it's hard to sit there, for a movie, when there's nothing really spectacle going on that's drawing them in. Once this story hits, they're like, oh, I'm out. But he did well, and it's kind of neat. He's been to the movies multiple times since then, seeing things that he shouldn't see. I took him to all the Jurassic new ones in theater, which was good, but it was, it wasn't the killing and stuff that was bad. It was when the dinosaurs would die that that's when he would be upset. He could care less if somebody was getting their head chopped off. He's like, yeah, whatever. You kill a dinosaur, he loses his mind. So you just kind of got to judge it and see. But three is when we started. We definitely went to a kid movie.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to me. I want to say it's either. It was Trolls. I think the first Trolls movie we took the kids to see. It was either Trolls or The Incredibles 2. One of those. So Jack would have been. Jack was like 2 years old. I want to say if it was Trolls, he was like 2. If it was Incredibles, he was like 3. And I really can't remember which one we went and saw together, but I'm leaning towards Trolls. And the kids loved it. They had a great time. They sat through it, with no problems. They and my kids have both been from the beginning been really good about sitting through movies and watching stuff. Actually, as they've gotten older, they've become less patient with movies, which was really interesting to me because I expected, when they were smaller, that they would have less patience for the downtime that Morg is actually talking about, but they didn't. They actually were, I think being in the theater, being around that spectacle and stuff was better for them. But since then, I took Jackson to see King Kong. The first movie that I got to see after COVID, was King Kong versus Godzilla, and that kid loved it. He did ask me about 3/4 of the way through the movie. He goes, "Can we leave and go home and finish watching the movie there?" And I was like, "No, buddy, we're here for the long haul. We're finishing this one on the big screen. So he did get a little impatient, but again, he got impatient with the stupid human, which I get it. I get bored with on those Godzilla movies too. So it's like, just show me the monsters fighting. Let's just do that. But yeah. So the experience was good. The age I think was fine. I want my kids to enjoy and love and appreciate movies the way I do and the way my wife does. We're a movie watching family, and I like taking the kids to the movie theater to watch different stuff. I think we took them to see the new Sonic movie about a month and a half ago, and they had a great time. Yeah, they both love it. Now Jackson runs around the house with his arms tucked back behind him like this, and he's running like Sonic. He's like, "Dad, look how I'm as fast as Sonic," and all this stuff. And I'm just like, "God bless you, son. I love you," and so it's really great. It's really fun. And we've had a really good movie theater experience. And I think as long as your kids you take them to the right content,
right?
Something that if he's really into Jurassic World, dude, he's going to be into Jurassic World. It's not going to, it's, and I don't know. Some of that content may be scary for him, and seeing on the bigger screen with the bigger sound, it could be a little bit more intense than when he's safe on his own couch and watching it with the surround sound. But I don't know.
I'll do big advice, Meg. So anyone listening that's going to take their kid to a movie for the first time, or hell, just if you're taking your kid to a movie, even if they've been there, control.
Yeah.
You hold the drink.
Right.
You hold the popcorn.
Yeah. Right.
You let them sip it.
Right.
Take their time, because they will just chug it and have to pee every time something important's going to happen.
Right.
And it's going to happen too. Like, because oh, this is going to be an important part. It's coming. And then they're just like, it's either I'm peeing here or we're going to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. So definitely control. Remember that. Control.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I think it's just great. I love the movies. I'll continue going to the movies until
as long as they exist.
I mean, we've got a drive-in theater that's nearby. You know, we try and take the kids to at least once or twice a year. You know, we'll take them up there. Like last year, they had Scooby-Doo and Jumanji, you know, playing together, and so it was great. Yeah, the kids didn't make it through Jumanji, but they loved Scooby-Doo, and it was fun, you know. I'm happy to give them that good memory, you know,
Right.
Especially like with the drive-in, because there aren't very many drive-in theaters anymore, and for my kids to at least have that memory before that stuff eventually goes away is I think it's pretty special. You know, they'll be able to look back on it and go, yeah, my parents bundle up in a blanket and go watch a movie outside, you know. So, but
Oh God,
cool.
I can't believe my dad let me watch Batman. Traumatized me. One of both ways. Either going to love it or they're going to be traumatized because they saw dinosaurs eat.
That's right.
So we'll find out.
Either way, you know, you're already paying for the health insurance anyhow, so you know,
that's right.
You're
Right.
You know, the therapy bills are going to be, you know, they're going to
Exactly.
be fine. So they can hate you for that, or they can hate you for something else later, or whatever.
Yeah,
So.
that's true.
All right. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Nerd Rundown. So we're gonna hop on to the presents here right after this. So if you want to circle back and
fun.
join us, we are going to be playing more. We're playing.
Yeah. So we're playing, and no matter how many times I say this, it never sounds right to me. We're going to play a game where we're guessing the movie based off the plot line, but it's badly written plot lines or badly explained plot lines.
explained.
It never
Yeah.
sounds right to me either way I say
Right.
it. So it's just some plot line was made for the movie where it describes the movie, but not exactly how it should be described.
Yeah. It should be fun.
It's gonna be good.
Should be a good experience. So if you want to come on back for that, if not, have a good week, everybody. Bill, thanks so much for being on the show. Morg, thanks so much for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun, you guys. So so we will talk with you guys later.
See ya.